Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech and Production. Today I, Bancroft, am being joined by both Jake and Fluff.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, people?
And today we're going over my round one with the it's a YouTube tournament between Jake's part of it as well. What is it, like 8 to 10 different channels?
Yeah, it's a lot of people this season. It's been a lot of fun so far.
It's 33 people. I know it was total. Unfortunately, of those 33 people is Fluff, but due to scheduling, he had to drop out. Unfortunately, if I'm correct.
Yep. Just busy season for my work. I'm a tax guy. This is literally happening during the busiest, 2.5 months of the year. So just bad timing.
So, but as you all can see, I am playing what is known as the Bancroft, which is Frieza Prison. If you're not familiar, Prison is just meant for stopping you from attacking and killing your field. Unfortunately, I'm playing against one of the hardest matchups for Prison, and that's a hand control deck. He is playing set 1 Broly, which with the new field card is a very nasty thing.
I'm interested to see this list in action. I personally haven't run across it at all yet.
Well, that's a fun little thing. Have fun tomorrow. I plan on bringing it.
It definitely is one of those. I've seen a lot of re-interest, revigor surrounding this leader, and I think a lot of it does have to do with the reprinted field.
It definitely helps it a lot. But before we go any further, just real quick, if you enjoy the content and you like what you're seeing, there's buttons to push. They're everywhere. Just click them at random. Hopefully it's the thumbs up, not the thumbs down. But if it happens, it happens. I get it.
Push that thumbs down button 4 times at a circle, everybody.
So I start off really quick just trying to get the new model scouters to pull cards to my hand, because I know once this starts truly going, it's going to hurt. So I try to make sure I got as many cards to my hand as possible, which is definitely possible with with Prism. I haven't beaten Gotenks yet with it, but I came really close. It came down to literally 1 energy difference in the end against it was against Jordan.
Gotenks is a rough list, and we've seen it going around a lot in this RPO tournament.
Yeah, if I'm correct, you played against it in your first round.
I did.
Yeah, it kind of drives me. It really surprises me that it is being played in the first round, because I would have really suspected it to be, later rounds, because the deck is so solid, even in the set 12 format.
Yeah, for people that don't know, the event that Bancroft and I are taking part in, whenever you use a deck, it becomes ineligible for the remainder of the event. So every round you're playing with a different deck.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of people's logic was, I'm going to take a deck I'm comfortable with and a deck that's good, like Gotenks, first round. That way I can save my loss, since the event is double elimination, for later in the event.
Yeah.
And I will say, for those who aren't truly familiar with the way set 1 Broly works, as you can see, he's awakened on turn 1 with me only attacking him 1 time, because that field card. So the way Broly works is that on the front side, when swings, both you and your player, if I'm correct, discard a card, and then you draw 1 card. I think that's how it's read. I might be a little bit off on that one.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But when awakened, both you and your opponent sack a card on the battlefield, and then discard 1 card from hand. Now, the way the Broly card works is that if it's removed from battle area by one of your leader card skill or battle card skills, I think, or by one of your leader card skills from your hand or from the battlefield, you can replay it, and then you can take up to 1 life afterwards.
Yeah.
And then the Paragus activate main, if I'm correct, remove a battle card from field, draw 1 card. So he just boom, boom, boom 3 times right there. Was able to awaken and then turn around and got Bardock on the field afterwards, and now using Bardock as another way of negging cards from my hand.
Yeah.
My goodness, he's already got the engine running.
Oh, yeah, he got pretty fast.
Well, and this, too, has a lot of, he's running with a lot of surprise factor because, like, not to like throw Bancroft under the bus here, but Bancroft, we weren't playing the game during set one. We are not intimately familiar with a lot of how the set one stuff plays. And then, like, how much of the Brawling engine is he's playing? It looks like he's not really playing a whole lot of it. He's just playing degenerate green shit. Kudos to him. I mean, green does what green does. And this is just a super cool kind of combo mix of things that he's doing.
There was
I really like that black Goku in green lists as well. I feel like that's an underused card for how powerful it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And granted, he couldn't get the effect off, but still, it's a crit that I'm going to have to constantly worry about until I'm able to neg it out completely.
A free 15k crit is just always good.
Oh, yeah.
And you investing resources into getting rid of that is theoretically just a win for him. I mean, he's ripping cards out of your hand, but because of that additional crit pressure on the field, you're more apt to burn a negate, or you're more apt to burn a number of neg cards that are going to take that out. And it's really interesting. And then that Bardock is a threat. So Frieza Prison not having a ton of aggression or variety in what it can do early game, you are forced to choose, do I spend my attacks pushing that leader, or do I spend my attacks pushing that unison or trying to clear applicable threats off?
So
wow. Whoa.
So he was about to play and he realized, wait, I played a black card, he can't play Broly. So this is just me rereading it, but and from here on out he cannot play that Broly, period, because it's so it's if I'm correct, the Broly's what allowed him to it got rid of a card early on on my side, but what really hurt me, I felt like in this case, was not seeing a unison either. I didn't see a unison this entire battle, if correct, which is another way that I could either use to add pressure because I played the Gerents, or as the Frost, another way of bringing cards to my hand so I can just constantly keep that hand filled.
Yeah, that Frost unison is huge for you in the hand control matchup. The fact that it's just recurrent advantage that you can reliably refill your hand with every turn.
Yeah. Now,
even if it's with cards you intend to just discard right after.
Yeah, and I did that a couple times. Like, I would play New Model Scouter knowing that I would have to discard cards as well. And I didn't mention earlier, this gentleman was from Scrubgames. There are links in the description down below if you want to check them out. They do a lot of cube drafting, which don't think I've ever done.
It's pretty popular in Magic the Gathering. Basically, you build a draft set out of your own cards, and everybody drafts from that.
Gotcha. Oh. Okay.
It can be a lot of fun if you spend enough time curating your draft pool.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at Sean right now, just in case anyone wants to go check him out. Like I said, it is Scrubgames. Links down below in the description. Give them some love. But it's like they have a Maiden's archetype, an Android archetype, an Earthquake archetype, and a Skillless archetype. So they got a variety of stuff there. So definitely give them a check out. But let's get back into what's happening here. I'm just trying to stay alive. I went down 2 life. I knew I could successfully stop him from killing me that turn, as long as there was no overround coming my way.
One of the really interesting functions of his deck as we're watching this go around, and I think it's a function of that demonic restraint, but if you notice the difference between Bancroft's hand and his hand, Bancroft's down to 5 cards in hand, and I'm counting 5, 10, 12 cards in his hand.
Yeah.
And usually it's the exact opposite in green, is as you're lowering the card count in your opponent's hand, your hand is also slightly less so, but is still diminishing. And it looks like his hand is just expanding.
It's because of, like, for the example, the 1-drop Paragus, you play activate the effect, you get a draw for it. So it it replaces itself.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and using Bardock's effect to cause him to discard a card, Leader Swing causes me to discard cards. So like he's not wasting any resources on making me discard cards.
Yeah,
And-
it's a ton of value.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the Bardock Unison gets really powerful, is situations where the battle card you're pitching with him also gives you something. You get into a situation where you get so much value out of your one drops as the green player that your opponent has to spend more than one energy to get one energy's worth of value out of their battle cards, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
So here I decided to use Wolfang Fist to neg his leader down. So his leader's at negative is at -5 right now. And he, because like you mentioned earlier, he has the resources. He is able to just freely combo up. And he used a Rubian, and then a Paragus, I think. Yeah. So he brought himself back up to 20,000. Sorry, 15,000. And I'm like, okay.
And even after those combos, I mean, he's still sitting at 11 cards in hand right now after all this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure once he finishes resolving effects, he'll probably be at like 10. But still, nonetheless, that is a ridiculous amount of hand advantage in this situation. And really, he's pushing really hard in this state of the game. There's probably not a lot of reason, except for maybe threat of like Army Reborn, for him to truly push. Like, he can just keep doing what he's doing until you run out of cards.
Yep.
So
just slowly grind the wheel.
Yep.
You know, once again, he does the Paragus thing, discarding cards. And the reason why I could have activated Battle with the extra card, Korn's Secret Medicine. But the reason why I didn't is because he had plenty of energy. He can overwhelm. You know, he has a lot of options there he can go with. And I wanted to make sure I could negate it if need be. Now, I did after Mish. I was like, well, I would, get 55 out of it. And he had the resources. Maybe I should have actually just used Violent Ray instead of negating it. He couldn't combo out of it. And maybe I would have had another turn. But like you mentioned earlier, like, he just had the hand power.
Yeah.
So he got first round, as you can see. I could not stop that at all. Let's see here. He would have gotten another turn. I could have gotten 2 cards. Maybe I could have gotten a Frost on the board. Could have gotten maybe another card from there, or I could have paid for the Frost and -2 immediately and pull 2 cards back from my drop. So, but now we're in round 2. I went ahead and skipped past the sideboard stuff.
Well, let me ask this, and maybe this is what you were about to address. Knowing prison, knowing hand control, what the hell do you side in?
So I adjusted. So I put in, as you can see right there, because I accidentally said search for card instead of shuffle. I threw in Fu Shroud of Mystery. I threw in a lot of the 1-drop. Is it Frieza's Death Ball? I think it is, where it's plus 15k and then -10 if all your energy is red.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So you bring Fu in because it's good off the top. Like, if you draw nothing else that turn and cast the 10-drop Fu, if they have 2 life, you can just win the game.
Correct.
And then Frieza's Death Ball is 2 cards worth of value for 1 energy in the -10k and plus 15k.
Yes.
And then that goes back to counteracting the energy value that he's getting from Bardock. So I think both of those are great additions to your list in this matchup.
And as you can see, I got both my unisons both my overwhelms off the bat. I got a Man on Mission, which is always a good one to go with for early on pressure if need be. And then I got the Fu in my hand as well. And it really sucks having to charge exploding weakness. But I saw what he played earlier, and he immediately gets rid of those cards as quick as he plays them. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go ahead and charge that and keep my Kabas, my counterplays, and my negates.
Yeah, and that stings doubly bad against hand control, where you're going to be making tough decisions about which cards to keep all game.
Yeah.
In an early charge phase where you have to charge a good card like that just sucks extra bad against hand control.
And him seeing you charge, exploiting weakness is probably like if your first charge is exploiting weakness, knowing that this game is definitively going to go to turn 3, he's probably like, yeah, this guy's choices to discard are just going to get harder and harder as the game goes.
Yeah. So, let's see here. New Model Scouter. Pull 2 battle cards in my hands. Just keeping that hand where I need it. 1 open energy. And he immediately has that unison ready to go. And I'm like, oh, man. So he used the unison effect. I get rid of one of the Broly's. But like I said, I pull those cards because I knew I had to discard. And I Wolfing Fisk his crit card because that's just a problem I don't want. And as you guys saw earlier, I did Kaba's Awakening the first attack just to make sure it's not a problem.
No, avoiding taking unnecessary damage at this stage in the game might be your trick to getting through. Because if you can stay as high as possible now, as you're losing cards in your hand, it may not be as detrimental to you.
Yeah.
So right here, that was horrible. Real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jake, but all 3 unisons were like 3 frosts right there in my top 5 cards, and I couldn't grab a single unison.
That's terrible.
Yeah. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was just about to say that this kind of speaks to the strength of hand control just as a concept in Dragon Ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to point this out. This was a misplay on my part. I should have counterplayed that Frieza. And the thing about Untap, I haven't played Untap on Untap I think 6 or 7 months. It was since our last season we did this. And I'm hovering over denial. I'm like, I could have just played this. Wow. But what happens is that I get used to having cards in my hand. I get used to just going to our locals and playing it. Yes, when COVID first hit, we had to stop playing for a while. And that hurt. And that's when I started also getting back in. So, okay, let's give this Untap a thing. And I would make so many bad plays because, I'm not used to... If I have no cards in my hand, it's like I have no cards, period. And that's why I start making bad plays.
Well, you're fighting the interface as much as you are thinking about what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
And that was the experience that I had in this first tournament. And I just couldn't equivocally participate in that first one. So thankfully, Jake has run me through Untap, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it. And I'm more comfortable, interacting with the interface. But it is just a side effect of not having cards.
Yeah. I think I charged the A drop. I mean, I'm not going to get it out, so...
Might as well, right? Might as well get something out of it.
Oh, I charge a Paralysis Technique. Oof. That's maybe I was hoping. I mean...
Jake, you mentioned that hand control as a concept in this game is just so brutal. And I think that's because, your hand, in most card games, your ability to move through your deck is incredibly important. But, in Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you have one card in your hand that starts an entire combo that ends with, 4 cards on the field, it doesn't matter how many cards are in your hand, as long as you have the one card that starts that combo. The other cards in your hand don't influence the battle. But because cards in your hand in Dragon Ball have an impact during the battle phase and the option to card, hand control is so much more.
Well, the hand in DBS is everything, right?
Yeah.
It's it's a way to protect your life. It's a way to help kill your opponent. All of your energy comes from your hand. So unlike Magic, where a land is always a land and a creature is always a creature. Every single card in Dragon Ball is modular.
Yeah.
It makes playing the game usually easier. It actually makes playing against a hand control deck more difficult because not only is your opponent removing cards from your hand, but so are you. And your options, if you intend to charge energy, and your options get more and more limited. Where in Magic, if you were playing against a hand control deck, you know which of your cards are energy and which are not. And it makes it effectively easier to make more informed decisions.
Yep.
So I want to go over. So what made this duel a bit different too, as you all can see, I chose not to push his leader as much, and I was trying my best to try to keep him above 4 life as long as possible. As you can see, I had at one point when I awakened and did my last turn, I had like almost maybe 10 or not more cards in my hand. He only had 3, but because the 1-drop Paragus, he was able to use his effect, draw another card, awaken, draw 2. Then awaken, and from there he's good to go now. And now you can see my hand starting to dwindle more as he plays the Unisons, and he played it smart. He and I give him credit for it. He swung towards my Unison first, and I'm like, I want to kind of keep this card as strong as possible, and so I chose to negate it. Now, granted, I didn't have any Denial of Hopes in my hand, but as soon as I used that 1 energy, he turned around and played the Paragus. Now, if I had a Denial of Hope, I wouldn't be like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, he's just playing. He's just trying to get you to waste resources.
Yeah.
To him, it doesn't matter whether it's defending your lead, removing battle cards. He's just trying to get you to waste resources. Yeah. Because if he's got Ribrians, if he's got 2 Ribrians in the drop area, you're dead. Like, you're just going to lose your entire hand. And then he's got his entire hand to work with. Yeah. And then you're limited in, like, you have 1 card to work with. You're on the bubble turn after turn. And there is no deck in Dragon Ball that can survive recurrent hand control after your hand drops to 0.
Right.
Like, the only deck that I can even think of remotely close would be like starter deck Brawly and Boo, and that's because they redraw their hand every turn.
Yeah, a set number of cards.
So here, 5 open energy. I know it's getting to a rougher spot now. So I'm starting to do what Prison doesn't normally do. I swing with Lead. If I'm correct, I swing with Frost, and I'm going to pay 3 energy and bring out Jiren. No, not yet. Okay, that was this turn. Never mind. I think I should have done that instead, but whatever.
Hindsight is always 20/20. Sometimes I watch my gameplay footage back, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
Right, like, why did I do that?
And like we were saying earlier, part of that could just be that you're fighting the interface as much as your opponent, so you're not making as clear of decisions as you would normally. Yeah. But going back really quick to what Fluff was saying about Ribrianne, the effectiveness of Ribrianne reminds me a lot of people using the Kaioken Son Goku Defender of the Earth in the old Shenron lists.
Yes.
And those lists had cards in them reworked or banned because it was effectively unfun to play against, where your opponent would interact with you very little over the course of the game and then rip all of the relevant cards out of your hand and kill you with triple strikers.
Yes.
Honestly, to me, that was more fun to lose to than Ribrianne's on turn 6, ripping 6 cards out of my hand and my opponent pecking me to death with ghost tokens.
Yeah.
I
thoroughly agree with that.
If the Shenron OTK list was banned because it was unfun, I think Ribrianne needs to be looked at for the same reason. Because, like, honestly, for me personally, it's more fun to lose to a combo deck that has been executed well than it is to a grind deck that is executed well. And that's just me personally.
Well, the whole thing with, Kaioken Goku and its uninteractability was dependent on getting incredibly far into the game with proper graveyard setup, with having the life available to activate the effect a relevant number of times to deal with the cards in hand and not losing on the crackback.
I mean, granted, you were Gogeta 7ing them in the same turn, but it took a lot of setup. You're right.
Right. It took a lot of setup, and it had to have like that kind of perfect amalgamation of things to go forward. Ribrianne requires no setup, combo pay 2 energy. You know, hand control is just too readily accessible to green. And I just can't believe that we're moving forward in this game and Bandai is not looking at green.
So here's what I'll go over real quick, guys. Just real quick. Order of operations is really big here. I had full intention of playing Fu, but I decided to swing with lead first. I wanted to get him down to 2 life as a way of going, cool. Unfortunately, I should have just played Fu first. Because now I can only attack 1 more time. And that really hurt because now I can't get 2 double strikes off, you know? And here I'm just trying to combo my last card just to see if I hit him. I forgot Bardock had combo killer. He earlier played Paragus, and I used Jiren to get rid of it as well. So, I mean, it really hurts when you have a plan and for some, like I said, I was just focused on my hands dwindling. I don't know what to do. I should have played the food first. It would have negated all his skills. He could not negate, and I could have had 2 double strikes and a leader strike still on him.
Yep.
So.
And he wouldn't have been able to combo kill.
Yeah.
So you would have had relevant combo cards in your hand.
It's always frustrating when you kind of do these sort of things to yourself. Like, you know Dormant's in the meta, you know it's around, but there's just so much to think about, especially when you're going for a narrow kill like this.
Yep.
That stuff like that, I can't tell you how many times I've swung with the wrong battle card first, or chomped too early in the turn, or didn't think about Dormant and lost my 1-drop double striker to it.
Here's also what hurt as well is that Frieza's ability, because it was out before Unison's, its effect is Frieza's army card to negate a battle card's attack. So like I got a Frieza army card, and unfortunately all he had was a Unison to swing with.
Mm-hmm.
Now granted, he lost his field card because of Fu Shrouded Mystery, because it was negated so he couldn't replay it. But he still had 4 cards. I don't remember what he had. I think we showed each other he showed me what he had in his hand afterwards, but it didn't matter. He had it.
I was about to say, like, you were kind of saying that sequencing matters. It definitely does matter. But when you were looking at the disparity between his hand and your hand, you had 3 or 4 cards in your hand. He had like 7. So
yeah.
you play the Fu, swing the lead. You either combo and he combos out, or you swing with Fu, no combo, he takes 2, and then you swing lead, he combos out a lead. You swing Jiren dump, he combos out of that. It just didn't look like a situation that he would not have been able to combo out of. And like, it just looked like he kind of had that one either way.
Yeah, he mentioned that as well. Like he because I forgot that when he said, I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, Paragus isn't one of the newer super combos, or I guess one of the it wasn't too old, where it was like +0 unless your life is 4 or less.
Right.
So, but that was, my first round. I lost season 1 with Prison, and I didn't want to lose in the end with Prison, so I got it out of the way.
You didn't lose season 1. You were in the grand final with Prison.
Yeah, and technically, I don't like Rising Phoenix Odyssey. If you're listening to this one,
we've talked.
My boy did not get. I'm batting for you. You hold on. My boy didn't take 2 losses in the first tournament. I think he has to lose 3 times to be eliminated from this one.
Oh, bold.
But speaking of Rise of Phoenix Odyssey, they're also listed in the description down below. They're the ones who are kind of doing this tournament, which is pretty cool. Yes, this is a more, I would say, more fun tournament. Like, there's not really prizing there, but it's just a good opportunity to play with other good players out there on YouTube as well, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, for me personally, it's been really good to meet and chat with some other content creators in the space and exchange deck lists and things like that.
It just gives you, a more variety of people that we can communicate with while we're playing, instead of have the whole type it out and whatnot, which is always a nice experience as well. So
yeah, I really wish that I had been able to participate in this one, but this is the second one. It's grown. I can only imagine we're doing a third one.
Oh yeah,
and I really can't wait for that, because you have no idea what everyone's playing round to round. It's not like everyone goes, and now everyone knows that Bancroft's playing Prison the entire tournament. Like, you could play anything for the next, they're doing 6 total rounds?
There are, I want to say actually 7.
Is it up to 7? Okay.
It's 6 or 7.
Because it's double elimination.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to more of these duels. Hope you all enjoy what we bring you. Jake did record his battle. He is looking at it to see if it's something we want to do or not.
The raw footage is 2 hours, you guys.
Well,
I don't know if you guys are down for a 2-hour commentary. If you want a 2-hour commentary video, leave it in the comments.
Well, the raw footage of this one was an hour, so I just doubled the speed and edited out the sideboard stuff.
Oh, well, so I could do that. I could cut it down to an hour 45, probably.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to check out those channels down below in the description as well if you're interested. Like I said, they make great content as well. And with that being said, Jake, last words.
Usually I would say if you want to win, you have to practice here. But we spent a lot of this video kind of complaining about hand control, as we often do on this channel. And I just want to say, I don't want to take anything away from Bancroft's opponent in this match. It was a really cool list with an old leader and new spice. Like, it was something definitely respectable and good games, bro. I know I wasn't in the game, but congratulations on the win. Hope you do well in the event.
Speaking of which, it made me want to actually play that deck. So, Fluff?
Yeah, again, I completely agree with Jake. Like, we do talk a lot about green, but more or less for me, it's just interesting to kind of discuss how different factors and different metrics of the game kind of influence deck building and the way that different archetypes interact or different strategies interact. And hand control is just one of those that I think is just going to be dangerous moving forward. Especially if they don't do something to check kind of the tool set that green has available to it now.
If not for power level, then for fun factor even.
Especially for fun factor. I mean, getting dormant potential to every turn while losing 3 to 4 cards in your hand a turn is never fun. But anyway, congrats to the winner here. Bancroft, Jake, good luck in your next round matches. Hopefully those happen here in the next week or so. I know you guys are going to do good. You both kind of went out on a limb here and played decks that might not have been the most successful, but I have faith in you to do it. Like always, read your cards, know your place, bluff out.